Hello and welcome to episode 10 of Playing Pretend with me, Chris McIlvenny. Yes, I do live in Italy, but the episodes will still be coming at you weekly. This week, I'm joined by Curran, an absolute legend, wonderful actress, wonderful person. I love her. She's a legend. You're going to love it. This is Curran. Caroline, thank you very much for doing this. I feel like I haven't seen you in ages. How are you?
I'm doing all right. How are you? I know it has been like how many years is it now? But
4, maybe?
oh my God, is it 4 years already?
I think so, yeah. From the last Holy Holy bus in the Lyric.
Yes, because Molly, I was pregnant
That's
at the time
right,
with
you
my
were
daughter.
pregnant. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
I normally start this podcast by saying how we first met. So we first met in the Davenish in rehearsals for the Holy Holy bus,
That's
remember?
right.
Do you know how
Yeah.
I ended up getting on that? Was I was living in Newcastle, like in uni and all, and then I dropped out of uni, came home, and that was me gonna be home. So I came home the day before because it was my niece's christening. So I was in the
That's
PD and
right.
it was Father's Day. And Tony Devlin walks into the big hall to get a pint or whatever. And I'm like, oh, Tony, what's happening? And he goes, Chris, the very bad here. Do you know how to work do you know how to work a sound desk? And I was
Yeah.
like, no, but I could try it. He went, sweet. Tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock in Davnish, holy, holy, bus, you're doing the sound. I went, sweet. And
That was
then
it.
that was it. And absolutely loved it. I loved that show. It was so
I
good.
know.
Um,
It was one of the best times of my life. That show, absolutely. I would do it again tomorrow in a heartbeat. And a lot of people have said, like, oh, when's that Holy Holy Bus coming back? And I was like, I don't know. Phone Tony Devlin, get on the Pierce Elliott, gives a
yeah,
chance. You know what I mean?
100%.
Back out again.
It was so good. I loved doing that. But like you said, with the last run in the lyric, you were pregnant, and
8 months.
oh, Caroline, I felt so bad for you because you had to hide the fact that you were pregnant, so you had all these layers on, and
Yeah.
you're on stage, boiling hot, 8 months pregnant,
Main
and
stage of the lyric, all the lights. Do you remember the orange jumper?
yes,
Because it was, and the orange jumper. So the two t-shirts, the orange jumper, the leather jacket, and it was just, it was insane, but it was brilliant because it did really help me. It was just to keep going. Do you know
that's
that
it.
kind of thing? Listen, 8 months pregnant, straight out, no bother, no
No
problem at
bother.
all.
We did 2 weeks in the
That's
lyric,
it.
like
Sold out.
yeah,
I
so
got to get
lit.
that in. Sold
Unbelievable.
out.
So good.
I know.
It's that show, like doing that because that was the first time that I'd done like proper like stage managing and technician for sound and stuff. And it couldn't have been a better job to work on because like you and all the girls were just legends. Do you
I know you. We
remember?
we'd be
Sorry,
lost without you. So we would have been lost without you big time.
I don't know about that. Do you remember the time
You
in the Roddies where we almost killed Stella McCusker?
right. We didn't kill Stella McCusker. I had to do the Heimlich on Stella McCusker because she choked on a bit of an easy peeler. Do you remember?
Yeah.
So Roisin, so Stella is a really famous actress. Now, whether she wants, well, I'm sure a lot of people know about it now because it's what would have been, yeah, the kind of first run would it have been?
Yeah, that was
So
maybe
you're
5 years
talking
ago.
five years ago. And next minute, interval comes. She's getting her wee snack, keep her energy up because Stella, we don't actually know her age, which is great because who knows what
No,
age she is. Game of Thrones legend, and
I
she's
didn't.
she was in Bloodlands there on Sunday
I
night doing her
seen her,
stuff. Did you
couldn't
see
believe
her?
it. I was like, yeah, Stella,
Yeah,
legend, love her. Yeah,
I know.
choked on an easy peeler,
Yep,
and
Acer Paler. She was barred from Marxies by me. She wasn't allowed back at Marxies for about
ah,
3 weeks.
that was her because
Roisin thought
we didn't know what to do.
Roisin, yeah, Roisin thought she was having a heart attack. So we were all standing. I think I was fixing makeup or out somewhere anyway. The next minute, I seen people running in. Then I seen her, Stella, staggered up. You know the size of the Roddy's toilets, the corridor,
Yeah,
which is like from if we were this close, it would be this close.
yeah.
And she looked at me and her two hands on my shoulder, and she was just staring at me wide eyed. And Roisin went, "I think she's having a heart attack," and she was trying to, I don't know. And I thought she's choking. And I turned to her and I thought, I'm going to break her ribs because she's so tiny.
Mhm.
And I thought, well, she can take a couple of broken ribs or choke. And they did that really famous thing you hear about, people in shows. Is there a doctor in the house?
Yeah, I
Ah. And the next thing
know.
was somebody, do you remember? Somebody came running back. They were a nurse, I think,
Yeah,
and I'd already dislodged it. Do you
Yeah.
remember I had done it a few times,
Yeah.
and she sort of got it up, and the nurse
Yeah.
couldn't checked her pulse, and we took a extended intervals. Remember, like we run
Hmm.
into 25 minutes, 25,
Yeah.
30 minutes, and she went back on, and not one word did she miss
Not at
in
all.
that whole second
You
half.
wouldn't have had a clue. It was
Nobody
unbelievable.
had a.
I remember
Mm-hmm.
when she was choking, someone was like, "Go and get Mick," because Mick Drain was on stage managing. So I run
Yeah.
around, and him and Martin Lynch are having a conversation outside the Rallies, and I'm like, "Stella's choking." He's like, "What?" So
And,
we ran round, then we got round, and you dislodged it, and good on.
uh,
That was so scary.
one of the funniest things
It
was we were
was.
obviously Claire and Roisin opened up the second half
Mhm.
because I don't want to give no spoilers. Fingers crossed, it goes back out or it
That's it.
gets made into something else. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who? And me and her stand behind the stage because obviously we had to go back on and wait. Do we come on? Whatever. And she just turned around to me and she looked at me and she went, "I nearly died in the effing Roddies." And she went into this cackle for about 5, 10 minutes. I was going, stop
Uh,
laughing, because they're right there. But them two were like, just get going, just get going. These people were
yeah.
waiting half an hour, and it was one of the funniest experiences of my life. I'll never forget it.
I'll never
Never.
forget it because I
We
literally
still
went.
talk about it.
Yeah, when we were watching, I was watching Bloodlands with my mummy and daddy, and they were like, "There's Stella." I was like, "I'll never forget the day she near died." The Roddies. I'll never forget it. How could I? That's ingrained in my mind forever. Oh, it was amazing. Oh, you're on mute.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. You're back.
Oh, I can't hear you now.
Oh, really?
I can hear you. Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can
That's
you back?
yeah, yeah. I can hear you now. Hang on.
Okay.
Oh, it's all gone by tongue. I'm not worried that in my read through now. Nightmare.
Oh no, nightmare. Right. We'll address the continuity errors.
Or just let fun.
I
People
know.
do that,
Listen,
right?
people are used to it. It's a night. It's really good. Like Zoom can be really good, but sometimes it can be a nightmare. I have fights regularly with my laptop
I
trying to
know.
speak to people.
I've
It's a
had this
nightmare.
Mac for 10 years and I still don't know how to use it. So
Really?
that, yeah, not a clue.
That's
Not
funny.
a clue. Sure.
S-
Anyway.
Yeah. So, Caroline, when you were a kid, were you always like? Because you're funny. I know you probably you're very funny. Were you always funny as a kid? Were you always like a performer?
No, no, I was really shy as a kid. People find that really hard to believe, Chris. But I was really, really shy. But when I got to about 14, 15, I was, when you have a group of mates and there's always kind of, um, not the one everybody kind of goes out with. There's always the funny one, the
Hmm.
clown. That was me. And I used to like I think I made my mate laugh anyway. And then in school, the only thing I was really good at was art and drama and
Hmm.
English. I knew I wasn't going to be some sort of mathematician unless I played one.
Yeah.
Um, so when it came to GCSEs, when I did a play called Dream Jobs, and it was about a girl who, wanted to be an air hostess. And I went in Olga, I went to St Dominic's in the Falls Road, and it was run by nuns back then. And I obviously was a heavier girl, which was fine, which I still am, which is great, because I had the funny. And I remember, because it was run by nuns, doing the drama GCSE, and me and my mate were doing the play, and I dressed up in what can only be described as, do you remember Alexander Burke brought out that song, Bad Boys?
Yeah.
And she had like a gold sequin dress.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Well, I wore that twice the size I am now, and sang Build Me Up Buttercup in front of
Amazing.
300 girls, all girls school and nuns, in a GCSE performance. And everybody was literally falling off the chairs going, she is a balloon. She's not right, but she's funny. And then when I got my exam results, it was kind of clear that maybe that's the path that I was going to go down.
Yeah.
So I went behind Mum and Daddy's back and applied it's now Belfast Met, and it's gone now actually, but it was
Yeah.
Biffy.
Hmm.
And I went to an audition and I sang It's Raining Men by Jerry Halliwell
Brilliant.
with all dance routine.
Oh, the whole like the
The
Billy
whole,
Elliot type thing that she
the
did.
whole thing.
Amazing.
Yeah, hadn't a clue what an audition was, whatever, because it was only 15,
Yeah.
16.
Hmm.
And then I got accepted. And I remember telling my mum and dad are musicians, and I remember coming home, and the letter had arrived to say that I got this offer, and mum was like, "What is this?" I was like, "Oh yeah, I did a wee audition thing for a college around the corner, and like it's for acting." And mum was like, "What?" Yeah, she cried for 3 days, and then I they must be musicians. So I left school at 16 and went and did it, and the rest is kind of history.
It's
I
amazing,
just I had no. I thought I was maybe going to be a graphic designer or an
right?
animator, and then Built Me Up Buttercup took over,
That's it.
which is still my karaoke song, by the way.
Do you know what? I
Uh,
actually I actually sang that song with a guy in, I think we were P7, and it was our talent show. But for some reason, I don't. We can't just stand and sing a song like "Build Me Up, Buttercup." So we had the brilliant idea to add some moves. Our moves was, "Why do you build me
Brilliant.
up?" And we sang it like that, like straight looking. I was like, pick a point at the back of the room. You won't have to worry. You don't look at the people. Just pick it. So we were like zombies. Why do you build me up?
You
And
won that.
we didn't win. I was raging some fella on the you Ellen Pipes one. Brat.
Ah,
He won
they'll
every
always
year. I was like, oh,
know your niche. They'll always win.
always. Like when people are like doing our disco dancing and all, caked
Uh,
and fake tan, and then
pop it.
your man comes out in the pipes, he's always gonna win.
Everybody's crying and all, like, oh, need to get
Yeah.
him for our cocktails, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Um, that's
that's where it
mad. So
started.
then, so after you finished, so in Biffy, was it like a lot practical? Was it mainly practical?
So the reason why I didn't stay on in school was because it was theatre studies and it was more theoretical based in books and stuff, which I like, but it wasn't. You were going to get up on stage then,
Mhm.
and perform a lot and stuff. And I didn't really know what the course was I was going for. I knew it was performing arts. So I thought, well maybe we'll learn something, maybe do some songs, maybe do some dancing.
Yeah.
And as my brother said, I'll just let her mess around for a couple of years and then she'll go and work in a bank. It'll be fine.
Mhm.
Um, and then so I went to Biffy and it was a lot of performance based, which was brilliant back then. We got to learn all the different techniques, good house ski. I like theatre this or Anton Arto, theatre this or absurd. Um, it, Boal, everything, just everything and anything. And I had the best time because you were really supported by all the tutors, some who I'm still kind of friendly with now. I learned a hell of a lot, and they had contacts in the theatre. Like I'd only ever been to see pantomimes as a kid,
Yeah.
so this was like reintroducing me to this whole world of theatre where people go to enjoy shows and watch people do this for a
Yeah.
living and have a really great time, and
Yeah.
sometimes change their mindset about certain things. And I was like, yeah, but I'm a funny. Can I make people laugh?
Yeah. I think a lot of people like, I know I was the same when I grew up because I had only really went to see Panto, or like we
Mhm.
went to see Grease in the opera house. So it was like, this is all it is. You sing songs and you say funny lines, but like I was never aware that theater could be as serious like a movie, like
Yeah,
a story and drama, and better than a movie because it's happening right in front of you. It was the
yeah.
best. I loved the fact that I was able to do that. Like when I first went to drama school, like we did a, a thing, a Stanislavski exercise thing, and you had to be in character like for like a day. And
Hmm.
I was like, part of you, especially being from here, is like, oh, wise up. How could I do that?
I know.
But then because I wasn't here, because I was in Manchester, I was like, no one knows me here, so I don't care. Whereas
That was
here,
it.
you'd be more self conscious.
You need to be going. Then.
Yeah. Why are
You
you
know, like
talking like
that.
that?
What is wrong with you? Why are you speaking like that?
Yeah,
What's wrong with
exactly.
you? Yeah,
And so that just the fact that theater can be so dramatic and real
yeah.
never really occurred to me. So then once you finished there, how did you end up getting an agent, and how did you end up
Well,
doing it?
I ended up when I finished. I did the 4 years national diploma, higher national diploma. Went and did a degree. Well, so I could go straight into third year once I did the higher national diploma.
Oh, okay.
Got my degree in like 8 months. Just to have something to fall back on because back then you couldn't get seen or like auditions or anything if you didn't have an equity card, and you
Mhm.
couldn't get an equity card because you couldn't work.
Yeah.
So I then got asked to help out on the Liverpool boat, which was a play that Carol Moore's company was doing. Tony Devlin was in it, Paki Lee was in it, Tara O'Neill was in it, Bruna Tired. You think about it, there was about 12 of them in it.
Mm-hmm.
And the main star was Lewis Emmerich, who was Big Mick Johnson for Brookside.
Mm-hmm.
Gordon Fulton. There was so many of them. It was written by Mary Jones and Morris Bestman, who back then was writing Hollyoaks.
Yeah.
So Carl had asked me to come and kind of like assistant stage manage. I was front of house manager, follow spot operator. There was just
Yeah.
everything. And that was my kind of door in to this world
Mm-hmm.
where you're making contacts, you were getting to meet people. Oh, she's quite fun. What are you interested in? Oh, I'd like to do acting someday. Good for you. But I ended up in stage management,
Mm-hmm.
and I became a stage manager for must have been about 5-6 years. Loved it. Absolutely loved my job. Was good at my job. Got to meet and work for nearly every theatre company there was in the north. Which just had me in my contacts to get auditions, and then it came to the point where there was things in my range, age range,
Mm-hmm.
And like people knew me to give me the audition because they're
Yeah.
like, oh, it's great. I go in prepare for it. They go, oh my god, that was brilliant. Will you stage manage the show? Because it
Okay.
was good at the job.
Yeah.
So then I made the decision that I had to stop doing stage management to get people to see me
Yeah.
acting as an actor.
Yeah.
Um, so I retired undefeated champion.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went for the Lyric used to hold general open auditions where you go in and perform in front of a panel, 2 pieces, your Shakespeare and whatever contemporary you were going to do. And then Tricia, who owns Spanner Works Theatre Company, she was sitting on the panel, and I did a monologue. I can't even find it now. I wish I could, about a girl who was at a party, was trying to place a guy, but got so blocked she had a bowl of nuts and poked over everybody.
Okay.
And she's like everybody else back then, all the directors were sitting there like this. And I was giving it the stacks, like, and
Mm-hmm.
Tricia was laughing, going, she's gag. She's gag. So she phoned me up as soon as I left the kind of room. So I thought that would do like a lead balloon cracker.
Yeah.
I'm never gonna work. Never gonna get work. And she phoned me and she was like, I really loved what you did today. Could you come and audition for my show? So, and it was about drugs and you know, kids down and stuff like that. And but there was comedy elements in it for the part that I was going for. And I went for the audition, and she's like, "Do you want the part?" And I was like, "Oh my god, yes, of
Yeah.
course I do." And within, I think, a couple of weeks, I was away to the Brighton Fringe Festival because that's where it
That's
was
unreal.
starting. And I was like, I can't believe. First of all, I'm going somewhere else. I'm actually going to do a job that I really want to do. The part was brilliant. The play was great.
Mm-hmm.
It was just unbelievable. She then became my agent, and she's my personal manager. She's been looking after me from then.
Amazing. That's class.
Yeah, but it's stage management. But like yourself, you
It
flew
is
in, you got to know people. Um,
100%. Like I'm so grateful that I did that when I did that. Because the first time I did it, I was 17. I was helping with props or whatever. It was always with brass neck. And then that time in the PD, Tony was like, right, come on, you're doing Holy Holy Bus. And
yeah,
then
it was meant
from
to
then, I like stage managed a lot of their shows and was technician. And what was so interesting to me was learning how much work goes into putting on a show.
yeah.
Because the not only like the audience are completely unaware,
Mhm.
but some of the actors are too. And I find that some actors really they show up at their call time at 6 o'clock and we've been here since 9 in the morning, setting up stuff, and they're like, why is this there? Or where's my thing? Or where's that? And you're like, oh god, that's funny. Uh,
Yeah, that's when you don't lose your mind. That's what
yeah.
I found. I found sometimes years and years ago when I was stage management, you know, when you didn't get the jobs and you were watching other people in roles that you could play,
Hmm.
and they were like, it was a chore, but they were working, and I was just looking, going, I could be doing that. I could be doing that while I fix a chair, while I hang something up the
Yeah.
wall, and it gave me a brilliant understanding because I became very good at lights. I became,
Hmm.
great at probably I'd have to learn Q Lab now, like if I really wanted to.
Yeah.
Sound. I did set. I built sets. I've lifted heavy sets, which were in the Grand Opera House.
Well, I
Um,
remember the set for Holy Holy Bus. It was them big flats, and they were
mhm.
so heavy, and we were doing the get in to the lyric, and you were like, "Come on, here, we'll do." I'm like, "No, Caroline, you don't." Like you were like, "I'm a stage manager, ways up. Come on, let's go."
I know, and you're not supposed to. And I keep forgetting. I should know that with the whole health and safety forms. I should know, but I was like, because I did it so long, I hated to stand by and watch
Yeah,
what I knew just for 2 seconds. All
100%.
right, you don't hurt yourself, but if you're careful enough, and I knew how
Yeah.
to operate stuff, but
Hmm.
it gave me a better understanding. Somebody once said that I'm probably the only person that could light and do my own show
Yeah.
as well as be in it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
100%. I
everything. I did absolutely everything. Props, costume, set, lights, sound, and now on stage. I've done it all.
I remember because I love doing it, but it was always in the forefront of my mind. I'm gonna be an actor. This isn't what I'm gonna be doing for the rest of my life. It's like you, I was like, no, this is just a job, but I will be eventually on the stage. And I remember there was one night you just went home, and I was walking the stage for Kieran Bagnall and Tony to light the stage and see. But I knew the Holy Holy Bus inside out, that I knew every place where you stood, and looking out on that theater, even though it's empty, I was just like, this is good. Like, I like standing here. I love this. And then obviously the next night you got to take my part. I had to press the
Whose part
buttons.
did you play the best, though? Whose
Oh,
part did you know more?
I did a really good Stella McCusker. I was really
Oh, shit.
I was really good at that. But yeah, no, it give that's it. It gives you another understanding of what goes on, and if you
Hard
have
work.
that understanding, then you have a patience with it, like
Mhm.
you kind of, and an appreciation for the hard work that techies do. Because it's funny, like I've been on tour with shows, and then I would go to the theater to do the get in or whatever, and we'd do all this stuff, and you get talking to the in-house technicians and stuff, and they're always like, "Ugh, actors." The
Yeah.
worst. And then I'm like, I'm an actor. They're like, no, no, not right now. You're a techie. I went, okay.
Yeah.
So
Because when I
I,
used to go on tour then as an actor and then meet all my mates who are techies
mhm,
and they all go, "Oh, just turn to the dark side. Here she comes." I'm like, well,
that's
but
it.
because I've built so many relationships over the years, you'll always find me with techies,
Yeah,
always, because that's where it came from.
yeah,
I'm very proud because the hard work that goes into putting on a show is unbelievable.
hmm,
Like, you can go on to the small hours to make something work that may only last 45 minutes,
yeah,
but it has to be the best it can be. That's why the stage management invest so much into it.
yeah. It's
Like,
the
it's my
attention to detail, which
responsibility.
I was so attracted to, like the attention to such little detail, and closing the barn door of a light, like a wee
Mm-hmm.
inch, and they're like, no, 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 it's important, and blah blah blah. I just absolutely loved every second of doing that, but I don't do it anymore because I'm an
Well,
actor.
that's it. Now you're on stage, you see.
Well, a bit stuck in the house, so quarantine. Uh,
Well,
I know.
welcome,
So
welcome to the real world of
I
acting.
know
It's
that's
called
it.
unemployment.
100%, 100%. So Caroline, then you got the part as Maggie Muff in
Ah,
50
yeah.
Shades of Red, White, and Blue,
Uh-huh.
and my mum loved that. She went to see, oh, because there was three of them, wasn't there? There was,
There's four of them.
is there four? That's class.
There's four now, yeah.
That's unreal.
Um, See, when you were saying about standing on the stage, doing the Holy Holy Bus and standing in for the lights, the show that I went in with Martin Lynch, the saying about the heavy set, I was walking stage for them to do the lights,
Mhm.
and I remember standing looking out on the Opera House stage, saying to Martin Lynch and all, "I'm gonna have a one woman show here one day," and they all laughed. Cut to 5 years later, there I was
Class.
starting with a sold out
Sold
one
out.
woman show
Yeah.
one woman showed the Grand Opera House, and I said to them, "Do you remember I said 5 years ago I'm going to be standing here?" And they're all that, you're right, you
Unreal.
did."
That's class.
Yeah, yeah, it's been an absolute 7 years.
Really?
7 years. Yeah,
That's amazing.
she was supposed to come back out, bless her,
Yeah.
in in June in the brand new Opera House.
Hmm.
But because of everything, it's all been pushed back again.
Nightmare.
So hopefully she'll be back out in January. Fingers
Yeah,
crossed.
it'll happen at some stage. That's brilliant. I remember because My mama told me, so she kind of tricked me, right? So it was when 50 Shades of Grey was like being read by all the mas, and my mom is like, "Here, there's a couple of girls in work talking about these books. Will you try and download them for me onto my iPad?" So I'm like, "Yeah, no worries." So I go on the websites and download these books, and I'm like, "Okay, they're in this. This is where you find them, and blah blah blah." And then cut to maybe 6 months later when it's all over the news, 50 Shades of Grey, like one of the most popular books ever. I'm like, you had me download
Yeah.
filth onto your iPad. And I was I was so unaware of what I was downloading for her. I was like, you're disgusted.
Yeah.
I can't believe you made me do that. But then
And
she,
then people go and watch it live on stage.
I know, I know. But
Not as explicit, though. It's not as explicit as that. I have to
no,
get that out there before
yeah.
anybody starts Googling and going, what is she up to? What is
A
she
one
doing?
moment show.
Well, how does she? It's by herself. How is she? Is she reading the
Oh God. No, but
book?
it's so crazy how big that Maggie Muff and 50 Shades of Red and Blue ended up being. I'm not
It was,
surprised.
yeah.
Um
It's completely surreal, even to this day, to me sitting here right now. And what date are we at? The 8th or 9th of March,
mhm,
2021. Where all 7 years ago, I got asked to read a script. I know there was a few others who'd read it, which is great. I hadn't seen the Facebook thing that had started up by Lisa,
mhm,
so I genuinely had excuse me, no idea what it was, because I never read obviously the 50 Shades book either. Because I was actually on tour with a kids show down in County Kerry
right.
when I had to go for this reading, and I was like, oh, apparently there's this Facebook kind of, everybody was sharing offices, going if this was a wee Belfast woman and blah blah blah. So this whole thing was going on online,
Hmm.
and I had no idea what it was, hadn't read any of it, and then I went and read, and it was like, oh, do you want to read the part? And because you had to say the C word on stage, which is quite taboo, you
Hmm.
know, but CONT, not the other one. Um, it's quite explicit in terms of sexual content, a woman on her own, a young girl on her own. And I
Hmm.
was like, it's fine. It's totally fine. It's a
Yeah,
part. It's, and
that's it.
so actually, the time that it happened was the flag protests were all happening.
Hmm.
The heavy snow had came. There was a lot of cutting and editing. Lisa and Martin, like Lisa, they worked so hard because the conditions down to like the original performance that I did. The first half was an hour and 15 minutes, and the second half was an hour and 10.
That's crazy by yourself to do all
First
that.
time it went out, so went into the Mac. It had kind of sold out. They had to put extra nights on. There was extra weeks going on. I still had no idea what was going on.
Hmm.
All I know is I had to learn all of these lines, like still kind of trying to find my feet of what was going to happen. I'd done a one woman show the year before with Trisha, where I played
Hmm.
Marilyn Monroe, Eileen Moornos, and Mo Molam. So
Right.
that was only 40
That's
minutes.
a funny mix.
I know, and the button of all three, by the way. I had sort of had the feeling of what it would be like to be by myself on stage,
Hmm.
but not to the extent where I would never leave the stage
Hmm.
for that amount of time and the amount of lines. It was unreal. By the time we opened, that show was done in 8 days.
That's mad.
Because Christmas had passed, the flag protests were happening, the snow had happened, everything had all went like this.
Hmm.
And 8 days, we got that show. I opened in the Mac, and it was 8 days.
That's unbelievable.
And I'll never forget, because for me, it's kind of like a blur.
Hmm.
And the way I can describe it is, once them lights go down, I feel like I don't breathe for 2 hours.
Yeah.
It's just go. And when the first preview went up,
Hmm.
see, by the next 24 hours, my life was just flipped on its head. Literally turned on its head.
Hmm.
Everybody just went, what is this? What is this? This wee girl is playing 14. Actually, there's 12 in the first one, with all the wee bitty bits. Um, these many characters, men and women, different voices, different. Like, there's a bed. She's to push this really heavy bed and jump from scenario to scenario. and people had already read the books that the
Yeah.
things online. I hadn't. So they were coming with expectations. They knew what they were coming. Well, some did, some didn't. And I'll never forget that, like, as the weeks went on, how mad this was going to go.
Yeah.
Because I'm still kind of wandering around going, isn't this the gig? I'm doing a play.
Yeah.
It's all by myself. Sure, isn't this great? Like, at least it's brilliant. Martin's brilliant. Nurse me just talking the words.
And
And all these
probably little did you know that like you would be doing it for what, 7 years then?
7 years later, for them.
It's
Yeah.
class.
It was just unbelievable. It
And
was like,
with each one, it kind of got bigger and bigger because, like, I remember it was a Dirty Dancing in the Shebeen.
the second one, yeah.
The second one, I remember just seeing billboards everywhere of that, and I was like, "What is that?" I
I
love
know.
this because I love Dirty Dancing. I didn't know that it was like the sequel, and I was like, "I love Dirty Dancing. What if I could go see that?" My boy was like, "You're not going to see
I know.
that."
A lot of people came thought they were seeing Dirty Dancing the musical. That's not what they got.
No,
That is not what they got.
no.
Um, yeah, the more that happened, because you know what it's like with sequels. Everyone has a certain expectation of, like, there's an example, Coming to America 2. One of my favorite Coming to America is one of my favorite films. Coming to America 2.
Hmm.
It's like, yeah, what's happening?
Yeah,
I know there's been 20 whatever years gone. You're like, man, chill out.
yeah,
So when Dirty Dancing was then mentioned, and it was like the first time all over again.
yeah.
This expectation, oh my god, what's gonna happen? Ah, what's gonna happen? And then the third one came, and then the fourth one, which is Maggie Your Ma, because there was no book.
Mhm.
Everybody, it was like waiting list, waiting list. It was like the first time all over again. I remember the lights going down on the first night in the opera house, walking out, and literally, as soon as the lights came on me, the whole place just went, ah! And somebody, like the director's husband, went, it was like Mick Jagger had walked on the set. And I never forget, because I'm trying to hold this kind of like,
Mhm.
direction that I was given, and the whole place were all like literally hanging off chairs going, ah! And I was going, I'm like this, what is happening? Because obviously there's been like year breaks and 2 year
Yeah.
breaks, and so everybody was going, what's gonna happen? Ah! And I was like, I have no idea what's gonna happen. All I know is I have to speak now for 2 hours and
Yeah.
hopefully not fall over on my face.
So when you
But
do
it,
it, when you do those shows that are like 2 hours of just you on stage,
Mhm.
do you kind of be in your head, or is it kind of like muscle memory and it just kind of
No,
goes?
no, I constantly run the script. I can see things in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really weird thing that I have. Hopefully I still have it after being off for a year and a half. You know what I mean?
I know.
I see things, and I'm constantly running it. Even if I'm like on the interval, on the break, I go from scenario to scene to scenario to scene, and like I run around trying to talk to people, because people go, she's on her own, she needs to concentrate all the time. It can be a bit lonely, so I'm
Yeah.
running after people going, talk to me, even though I'll talk to you like now,
Mm-hmm.
but I can be still running the
Yeah.
whole show in my head. And it's the sheer concentration. And as I get older, it's learning to look after yourself so you don't get
Yeah.
sick and all of that, because if you get sick, there's no one there for you.
That's
You know what I
it.
mean?
Yeah, there's no understudy for Maggie Muff.
Maggie was on. Well, there's just don't stop her that.
That's
And
it.
I wouldn't miss it, because sometimes every show feels like the first time.
Yeah.
There's never been once where I've went, ugh. And something like back then, I used to do 2 shows a night,
Mm-hmm.
back to back.
Wow.
So you'd have the break in between, and every show felt like the
Yeah.
brand new show.
Mm-hmm.
And the support that I've had from people is unreal, like
Yeah.
out of the world. They love her, they love the
Yeah.
character of her, they love the idea of her, they love her best friend who has all the funny lines, even though it's still me. I
Mm-hmm.
used to get people come up to me after the show and go, you were very good, you're a good girl. And I say, I like the other one better, the other wee girl. I was like, yes. Oh, she's really funny. Like, you're good, but the other one's better. And I'm like, still me,
Well, you've done your job then.
still me.
If they,
Yeah.
that's so
I
bad.
like the other one better. Thank
That's so funny. Yeah, I'll tell her. I'll tell
I'll
her.
tell. I should put back.
Yeah, yeah. Um, that's unbelievable. I can't like. I've always been very intrigued by one person plays, just because of the multi-rolling and the story led by one person. Because it's someone said to me recently, "Is it not just like stand up?" And I'm like, "No,
No.
no, it's very, very different because there's not that audience interaction. You kind of almost um you're just telling a story and it kind of has to be the same every night. There's no
Yeah.
like improvising or anything like
Yeah.
that. It's a play and it's written, you
Yeah.
do it. So
Stay.
and there's that pressure of if you forget a line, you can't like turn to the other person on stage and be like, I'm fucked there, so help me. It's none of
It,
that. It's just you're
it
holding
does.
it.
It does make you value other actors,
Hmm.
and especially if they're your mates, even better. But and it does. You miss that. Not they say, "I'll say throw the ball, catch the ball," and you
Yeah.
take the weight. I'll take the weight. You do miss that. I
Hmm.
mean, you get other different things with being on your own because you learn discipline. You learn, you know, how you to control things a
Hmm.
bit differently. Like the first time I went out with it 7 years ago, and the heckling was unreal.
Yeah.
That I used to come off stage and cry because I didn't know how to cope with that.
Yeah.
Because it's not stand up comedy, you know. It's not that. It's a play. I'm trying to tell you a story, and people pay for that, and then fights used to escalate in the aisles because
Hmm.
this person couldn't hear, so that person. So then there was, one time there was fist fights, and there was all there. Like I have
Crazy.
literally had everything that you can think of that shouldn't happen in a theater
Hmm.
has. And by the time as I grew older, so then always I have a make, I'll win. I
Yeah.
will win.
Yeah.
And they used to give a wee bit back just to acknowledge it so we could
Hmm.
move on. And
Yeah.
then sometimes try and drag it on. And then I used to tell them in character. It was always in character. It was never
Yeah.
me. But it's learned. That is something that I've learned doing a one-man show. I'm not a stand-up comedian though, because that's a
No.
different genre altogether. That's a whole
100%.
other specialist area.
Yeah.
Um, but you're saying someone else's precious script, and
Yeah.
act out their words where it's
Yeah.
not you.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
get
You
if
have
you
to
get
do their script justice. You can't
absolutely
just go off on your own and be like, fuck up.
no, no.
Like,
I have shouted at people a lot. They all
yeah.
think I'm big because
Yeah,
it's
of
in
course. They
character.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And also
But
they
if
feel like they're a part of it.
yeah, and
So
because she does have such a following, the character, um, and the people are genuinely nice. It's just they get too hammered, and then it just escalates, and then sometimes the show can run for 2.5 hours by the time you finish.
yeah.
And then you learn what you can deal with and what you have to move on
Hmm.
from,
Yeah.
and that's another
Um
thing.
during the first lockdown, I wrote a one man play actually for myself because I'm not giving it to
Yay!
anyone else, right? But I've never done one.
Oh,
Like I've
Tony,
never. Yeah, yeah, I'll be in touch.
he owes you.
Um, he does of me. But I find it really interesting in that writing it for myself has been very different. I feel less precious with it, if that makes any sense. Because I
Yeah.
wrote it, I'm very much like, well, I just want it to be the best play it can be.
Mhm.
So any feedback that people have been giving me, I'm like, yep, no, give me it, and I'll take it on board and see what I can do with it. But
Mhm.
I think when it comes to actually performing it, um, I don't know, because I've always had the camaraderie of being in a cast of people, doing it myself and doing the words that I wrote and the story that I'm telling, it's gonna be a scary thing. That's
Yes, but what'll help you is your director.
yeah,
Is picking that person that connects with you, that gets your story, that can help you when you have gaps that you can't see.
yeah,
Because you're so in it. It's your baby. It's that person that is close enough to tell you that, listen, I know this is your baby, but this does not work in
yeah.
this part. Park it for something else.
Mm-hmm.
Reading it out loud. I mean, when I started to write with Julie,
Mm-hmm.
we'd read about our family things. That was our comedy. It's obvious comedy, and we'd read about our situations that had happened to us and things that had happened, and that's where the comedy came from.
Yeah.
Was our own. personal situations.
Yeah, and it's people being able to see themselves in those
Yeah,
situations.
it's
Relatable.
oh, she's like my Aunt Rita, or she's like whoever, and
Hmm.
always like my Uncle Spoon, and it it came from when we handed it over. Even though sometimes it was like, no, but I think that worked, and then getting people to read it.
Hmm.
That was one of the it's one of the hardest things is handing it over to somebody, and especially if you're going to be in it.
Hmm.
It's sitting with that person going, this is what I want to do. It's obviously to showcase yourself. It's
Hmm.
picking the right person that can make you and the play the best it can be.
Yeah.
And that's my, if you were to say, right, I want to do this play, I want to take it to somebody, I want to take it to producer, director, find somebody that you trust
Yeah.
and that you can have fights with, that you can
Yeah.
debate with, that you can go and you know they have to be able to see what you're trying to do as well. But
Hmm.
if you find that your show, there's no running in it.
Yeah. Of
You
course.
know what I mean? And you not have to
Caroline, you
swing.
just mentioned you and Julie writing the Christmas shows. I remember we were in Newcastle doing the Holy Holy Bus when you
Yeah.
were saying to the girls, you were like, "Man, Julie wrote this thing in Theatre at the Mill. What is it?" And then fast forward like a year or two
I know
later, and you're doing another one and another one. And I'm like, "Come
five of
on!"
them now.
I was like,
Five.
"Caroline, come on,"
I
because
know.
it's on like I had never written before I wrote this. So you
Yeah.
have that self-doubt and you're like, no one's gonna want to see this
Yeah.
because you wrote it, and maybe because you become so like it becomes not funny anymore. You've read it so many times, you've wrote it so like you've looked at it and looked at it and tried changed bits, and you're like, it's not funny to me anymore. But an audience who've never seen anything are just like, ah,
Yeah.
unbelievable. Love it
Yeah.
so much.
That was our biggest fear. Well, my biggest fear definitely was, is this funny?
Hmm.
Because obviously I'm coming from people have seen other, I'm doing other people's scripts which are outstanding. They're seeing the funny, so they want to see. They go, "Oh, she funny? Let's see what she has."
Yeah.
And I had the extreme fear of going, "I'm going to be hated. No one's ever going to want to come see me act again. This is horrendous. Why am I writing this? Why am I doing this? Why am I doing this to myself?"
Hmm.
And then when the first one opened, everybody's like, "It's funny," and then it's just year after year after year. Great cast, great director, great stage management, and that's what makes the shows.
Yeah.
It makes that anxiety a little less harsh, because I'm telling you, see the anxiety you feel about your play now, it won't go away.
Yeah.
Even when you're performing it and you're starting talking to people about it afterwards, it will not go away.
Yeah.
It'll just get easier to manage.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
It because it must be weird, like having that like I know what you're saying, but having that self-doubt right from the first time that you got the commission from
Yeah.
Theatre de Mel or whatever it was, and the fact that this was gonna happen, and then you put in your first draft and your second draft, whatever, and
Three
then
drafts, three,
three. So then
three drafts.
once you're up on stage and you're in the middle of a run, like is there ever a point when you're like, oh, I can relax now? People love it.
Um, because we had like 4 weeks run, it was probably like the day before we finished,
Right.
where we looked well and press night and stuff, because you have reviewers and stuff like that, and we spent 9 months writing it. 3 drafts. Also, we did rewrites off the cuff as well. Things that
Hmm.
didn't work, you just had to be always on,
Yeah.
and the actors do their own thing, and you see them, and what works and what doesn't work.
Hmm.
And it was just the two of us looking at each other, going, on our curtain call, like, and everybody's clapping. You're like, did that?
Yeah.
What? Thanks for coming. Tell your
Yeah.
friends. And then
Yeah.
it's over before you know it. So
That's it.
enjoy it when it starts.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get too worried about it. Is everybody going like this? Is it going to do well? Oh no. And you forget
Yeah. You
the
can't.
actual crap you should be having within your play.
Yeah. You can't enjoy their enjoyment of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's only like when you get a few goes out, you're like, yes, this is why I do this.
Hmm.
This is what this is about.
Um, Caroline, with do you know how buzzing I was when I was watching Soft Border Patrol and seeing your wee face? I can't even
um,
tell you. It's really weird because obviously, because I know so many actors from here now, but I don't know. There's something about you that when I see you, I'm like, there's Caroline.
There's her. She's weird. She's a balloon.
my
I know
my
she's a
mate.
balloon.
She's
That's
my
my
mate.
mate. She's a balloon.
She's funny.
And then it
Uh,
was. I
that's
was
such a funny
supposed to
show.
be in the first season,
Mm-hmm.
and then I got pregnant,
Oh yeah.
and so I couldn't do the first season. So then the second season came back. Um, that Julie, so they brought us in, and obviously Julie was my best mate,
Mm-hmm.
and Marie was like, "Okay, the two of us come over for your costume fittings. You're going to meet your partners because obviously Fuelon was her partner in the first one,
Yeah.
and you know, because if everything was being different, everything was being moved around a bit. That would brought us over where we're supposed to go in this place, and it's like, okay, can you come in, Caroline? Can you go on up? The producer, there's a producer upstairs, which there was. Can you go up? Or Caroline, can you go in there? Julie, go in there. Blah blah blah. And the next minute, so I gets brought up, and I'm being filmed, and I didn't know, but I have the film now, thank God. And one of the producers filming, and I walked into this room, and there's the other producer, and Julie's sitting, and she looked, and I was like, right, yeah, what's happening? And and then I turned around, and Julie went, "Oh my God, are you my partner?" And I just went, and all the producers are sitting smiling away. And two of us went, high five.
Oh no.
We were all like, oh, the BBC's going to regret putting us two together.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's going to be mental. And that's how that kicked off.
It's class.
And they said, what's better than pairing, you know, two together than two real life best mates
Absolutely.
who work together, who bounce off each other. And it was just surreal. And Julie really, like, because I had so little experience in filming as
Mm-hmm.
well. And it was improv, and it was, you know, you were learning facts off the cuff about Brexit, and it was hard work. 7 in the morning to 7 at night, on 24/7 while your
Mm-hmm.
lunchtime.
Yeah.
You know, out filming, and then you do another take, something else would be said, so you had to run with that. It was constant. It was easily one of the hardest jobs I've ever done,
Really.
literally. And I've done one woman shows on my own,
Yeah.
and there's a crew there. There's people there. There's other actors in there.
Mm-hmm.
There's extras in there, everything, and there's cameras just, and you're like, what is happening here? I have to speak now. I'm going to look at through these binoculars and look at that seagull and pretend I know what I'm doing. I was literally,
Yeah, because it's funny in that, like, a lot of people are like, "Oh, TV and film must be a lot easier because you can make mistakes and go again." But like, see, when you make a mistake, you're like, "Yeah, I'm going to be
yeah,
sick." It's because you
well,
know you're wasting everyone's time, and
yeah,
they don't find if say you
no,
start laughing, the cameraman and the boom operator whose
everything
arms are
going,
breaking is not finding it funny. It's like,
because
shut
there was
up,
a couple of
get on with
times,
it.
a couple of times the crew were trying, like they had to turn away because whatever me and Julie were saying, and by Keith Singleton, he's brilliant as well. Because he has done stand-up comedy, so the things were flying, and you're trying not to laugh at him. He's trying not to laugh at you. They're trying not to laugh at anything,
Yeah,
but we're trying to do a comedy show. So
crazy.
it was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And Marie, the producer, I think, thank God. Do you know how I got that? So I was all kind of new to Twitter and stuff like that, and this guy had emailed me, direct messaged me through Twitter, going, "Hi, I see you're an actress. Would you come for an audition?" And I thought, serial killer
Hmm.
cracker. Brilliant. I was like, big, big balls. Aye, where is that? Ah, listen, if I have to go to a house in the middle of nowhere, I'll maybe think it's a bit shifty. But you know what? I'll go just in
Just to make
case.
sure that
I'll just bring something in my bag. Do you know, maybe all right, bring a big light or something. And the next thing was, I got this message through, whatever. And then it turned out it was to go down to the BBC to do these workshops, for the first time round.
Hmm.
And you walk in, you see all your mates, they had other agents.
Yeah,
My agent didn't have that contact. So that's why your man got in touch with me directly on Twitter in a private message.
it's crazy.
And I went down, met all these other, Marie, the producer, her partner, who's also a writer, have just done his, with Fiona Doherty, the podcast one, the
Yes.
crime, what happens in Ulster.
Yeah.
Him, they were all in my auditions, and it was 2 days, I think. Yeah, so you had the group one, then you had the paired ones. It was tough, like, because it was
Hmm.
improv.
Yeah.
And see, when you haven't done improv in a long time, it's different if you're coming out of college, you're kind of on. When you haven't done it in a few years, you're like, oh, can I still do improv?
Yeah.
Is
It's
there a new
hard.
system here? Just never say no. Just no
Yeah.
no's in improv. And yeah, he got in touch with me.
That's
He's now one of
amazing.
the head producers from BBC, something now, that fella. And it was just by chance
Yeah.
I got that. Julie's agent had sent her, and we were in separate groups, so we
Mm-hmm.
weren't even together.
That's mad.
Um, there was a lot of brilliant actors there too, and obviously once again the soft border getting the soft border, but it was brilliant, and it was like you can't buy that experience.
Yeah. And even the experience of having to do improv in
Yeah,
an audition. I
yeah.
remember when I was 18, I got asked to do this thing. We went to a wee village in the Netherlands, and it was a
All right.
thing ran by the EU, and it was 10 people from 6 different countries. So there was Ireland, Latvia, France, Sweden, Holland, and somewhere else, Italy or whatever. But we got put into groups and separated and all. So there's like 60 people, all of all ages, and you're trying to improvise with people who English isn't their first language.
Yeah.
So how the hell do you be funny? And then we, at the end of the week, we had, so what it was, we would go round this wee village, and they would set up like meetings. So we would be put in groups. So I'd have like a Swedish fella and a Latvian girl and all these people who were in my group. So then we'd go and they'd set us up meetings, and we would go to these people's houses from this wee village and like interview them. So then
Brilliant.
we would have like for ideas, but then we had to, so the scenario that we were improvising would come from whatever we learned from this person, but then we
Yeah.
would just have to go. But the people would be in the audience. So I remember we went to this woman's house, and she was like, "Do you ever watch What's Eating Gilbert Grape?"
Yeah.
Like the mum in that, like she was just like sitting there and she couldn't move or anything. And then, so then it was our turn, our group's turn to do our improv or whatever. And then this guy from Sweden just got a chair, sat it down, went, "I am fat," and started and she's in the audience, she's there, like, and I'm like, "Oh no." So then it was, and then they incorporated. I was trying to stay on the outside. I was like, I don't want to be part of this. So then we met other people during the interviews, these religious people. So then, so we incorporated it all into one improv. So there's this fat woman being like, "Oh, I'm so fat," and then these holy people are like, "Bless you, you're going to die." Like, and I'm like, "Oh my god, this is horrific." And they're like, "Please God, please God." So then I was like, how do I do this? And they were waiting on me to come in, and I went, "I am God." And they were like, "God, what can we do?" And I was like, "Here you are, a gym membership." And do you know what, Caroline? It was the
Oh my
worst. It was the worst experience of my life. I hated it. I literally wanted the ground to swallow me up whole. I was like, what am I doing here?
I
In the
wish the
middle.
ground had swallowed you all up on. Like,
Trust me. Oh, horrendous. It was the worst. Amazing experience, but like
yeah,
specifically performing in front of
I
these people.
I
Horrendous.
think an improv situation should be managed in a certain degree
Yeah.
so that you don't end up possibly offending every single person that you have watching.
Yeah.
Do you know that
Literally.
way?
I was like, this is supposed to be nice. This is supposed to represent this village. And we're calling
And
her fat, calling them ridiculous because they're religious, and saying she needs to go to the gym because
oh
God
my
said.
oh my god,
Chaos.
I, that there's your show.
Yeah, that's it. Writes
How
itself.
you started and inevitably ended in that small town.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll be back. There's
Yeah,
posters of me wanted. Chris
yeah.
McIlvenny for
So
offending people. Yeah, horrendous. So Caroline, just to finish off, what advice would you give for any aspiring actors or writers that are looking to get into the industry, or anyone who is already in it needs to be kick up the arse?
just always kind of keep going. It's the only thing I can say. Even after this year, you know, there's a lot of mental health can be affected, and it can, this industry in particular is very difficult. There isn't enough jobs, there's not enough money, and it can really affect you. And my one thing would be is keep going, keep talking to people. If you have ideas and you want to do something, do it. Don't don't sit under it. Don't, Don't go, oh, I'll do that another time. See, if you're free and you want to open up and do something, just do it. Don't be discouraged about anything. Don't think anything is ever shit, because it's not. It's to do, it's your own thing. Like, for talk's sake, it took me a long time to get motivated throughout this lockdown, especially with things to do with my own family. I have a daughter, you know, work has gone. It's just literally had 5 shows evaporate out of my life. My whole life just kind of, everybody's lives have stopped.
Mm-hmm.
So finally, I did courses with an ice screen there years ago, well, about a year ago. I'm doing BBC workshops. I've now written a play. I've written a short film. I've written some monologues. And it's only in the past few months because, like everyone, this is a horrendous period of time. But we'll look back on it and
Yeah.
go, we got through it.
Mm-hmm.
We're a wee part of history now. And see if there's something you want to do. So, for example, your show, you take it, it's yours. Start making the contacts now. Start getting on to people going, listen, are you free for a coffee? I'd love you to read it. It doesn't take somebody like an hour, 2 hours to read what you have, to sit
Mm-hmm.
and give you advice, especially heads of companies. You wanted me to read it, I'd read it, no problem. Especially young ones coming into this industry now. It is difficult, but it's difficult for us all. But just keep going. Don't be like, oh, I've wasted that time going to do that. Nothing's wasted.
Mm-hmm.
Put it down, because you never know, that one wee bit of luck, that door will open. And it sounds so wanky to say it. It really does. But I've had a really supportive family, really supportive friends base, especially with everything that's happened to me in my life in the past 2 years with Julie Diane. And, you know, that's that was like half of me gone. Not in terms of just writing partners, just in terms of my life.
Yeah.
Half of me is missing. So
Mm-hmm.
it's trying to reevaluate everything, but never giving up,
Yeah.
because there is those days where you don't want to get dressed. And funny enough, I did dress myself today, using him, and like everybody, I'm in a house coat. At least I'm getting dressed, as a
Yeah.
bonus,
100%.
and trying to do things that just always keep going. Because I see a lot of young ones coming out of drama school now, and they didn't even get to finish their year,
Yeah.
and it's hard, and will be hard. How do you get an agent and batter them? Just keep hammering at them,
Mm-hmm.
and you will get no's. With all the no's are always, just keep going. Because see, the more that you're seen, the hammer on, you'll get there.
Yeah.
So I said, I'm going to have a one-woman show one day. You watch, you wait, and I did.
You did it.
And I'm going to have a TV show here for Belfast that I'm going to write, that I'm going to be in, and it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
It's a matter of when.
Class.
Do you know what I mean?
You're a
But
legend,
you're a
Caroline.
legend.
You're,
Tell me
no,
your play.
you're a legend. Yeah,
You're a
we'll send you
legend.
my play. I will send you my
Tell
play.
me your play. The
Uh,
one-woman show that I'll be in.
yeah. You can play my girlfriend.
Yay!
They'll be like, I prefer that other one.
I
It'll be
like the
good.
other one.
Yeah,
She'll be. You need to get onto another Zoom call for her.
yeah,
She
yeah,
likes that.
yeah, yeah. Caroline, thanks very much for doing this. I really appreciate
Definitely.
it.
Have a bit
Lovely
of
seeing
coffee.
you.
Definitely. Lovely
Yes,
seeing you too.
100%. Lovely bits. Thank you. So there you have it, folks. That was Caroline Curran. Next week, I am joined by the absolutely hilarious Aidan Brooks, an old teacher of mine at drama school. If you could, tell your friends about the podcast, like and subscribe to the video. This has been Playing Pretend with Chris McIlvenny. See you next week.